KPMG, an international accounting firm. Our learning objectives here will be what is meant by globalization. We'll recognize the main drivers of globalization, and I'll describe the changing nature of a global economy, and the main arguments are the debate over the impact of globalization. We'll also focus on one of the objectives of learning the political systems and how they differ in other countries, as well as how the economic systems differ in other countries, and how the legal systems are also different in various countries. Near the end of the slide, we'll determine or see the information risk and explain how the financial statements might be impacted as a result of these risks, thereby reducing the cost of capital for a company. One of our key objectives is globalization, so we'll look at KPMG around the globe. Here we will see that globalization is the process of an international and integration among the people, or interaction and integration among people, companies, and government of different nations, a process driven by international trade and investment. This is learning objective L01-1. There are also 4 drivers: investment, market, terminology, and as a matter of fact, KPMG around the globe is seated in the Netherlands. It employs over 189,000 people and operates in 152 countries around the globe. It's a tax advisory service and further divided into various. We know that global changes in accounting are affected when we have global companies. So global accounting is a specialty in the field of accounting that is rapidly becoming more important in a setting where companies have international locations all over the world. Global accounting is a field that is developing to address issues. What types of issues? American companies with locations in other countries face unique challenges when trying to adhere to required accounting principles. Continuing on with global changes in accounting, the development of global accounting. As the way American companies do business began to change, it became apparent that the GAAP policies are no longer as useful as they once were, and that's because things have become global. This market is extremely difficult to adhere to U.S.-based GAAP policies across the board. The globalization of business has given rise to the need for a more global accounting system. In 2002, we know FASB began working with the International Accounting Standards Board, or IASB, to develop a new system of international accounting standards. This has proven to be also extremely difficult with changing GAAP with respect to U.S. banking systems, the stock markets, and the way companies and corporations account for revenues and expenses. There is not a one-size-fits-all. Why some favor globalization? Some factors are, and why they favor, are global economy and market, which can lead to better utilization of resources, greater ability to maneuver compared to fluctuations in national economies. Using economies of scale, it can reduce costs, new opportunities to develop markets, international cooperation, growth and mergers between companies, and there are many more, but another one that I found of interest was the development of means of communication and trade. Here were some of the reasons why globalization is not favored: lack of control over markets and multinational enterprises, increased economic, social, and territorial imbalances, concentration of richness, and increased social inequality, increased exploitation of child labor, threat of biodiversity and cultural heritage, and damage to the environment. Of course, there are others, but those were ones that I found to be of interest. KPMG in the global workforce. In that global workforce, or in the international global workforce, KPMG is sustainable and enhancing the quality of its professional workforce, which is its primary objectivity. Wherever their firms operate, they themselves want to be no less than the professional employers of choice. So they're becoming pretty dominant. KPMG provides audit, tax, and advisory services, and they work closely with their clients, helping them to mitigate risk and grasp opportunity. There are different political systems. We know some of these political systems to be anarchism. We know some of those systems are um, relatively extreme, exist in the purest form. There are also some systems that can be looked at as pluralistic or pluralism. There's democracy, which we know democracy is the most common of government around the world, not to mention that there's totalitarian, which is an authoritative type government. Differing economic systems. The country's view on capitalism is also a factor for business consideration. In the broadest sense, capitalism is an economic system in which the means of production are owned and controlled privately. There's another system in contrast called a planned economy. This is one in which the government or state directs and controls the economy, including the means and decision making for production. You might expect established democracies such as those found in the United States, Canada, Western Europe, Japan, and Australia offer the highest level of political stability, while countries like Asia and Latin America also are functioning democracies. Their stage of development impacts the stability of their economic and trade policy, which differ or which can fluctuate with changes. There are also differing legal systems. There's civil law, which is based on a detailed set of laws that constitute a code and focus on how the law is applied to the facts. It's the most widespread system in the world, or legal system in the world. There's common law. It's based on traditions and precedents. In common law systems, judges interpret the law and judicial rulings can set precedents. There was also religious law, which was also known as theocratic law and is based on religious guidelines. The most commonly known example of religious law is Islamic law, also known as Sari. In summary of KPMG operating globally, KPMG is in again more than 152 countries. It is most globally successful in IFRS, which is the International Accounting Standards, and other cultures where political systems, economic systems, and legal systems vary. However, KPMG was established in India in September 1993 and has rapidly built a significant competitive presence in the country. The firm operates from its offices in various countries. So, in India, KPMG has a client base of over 2,700 companies. And we know that KPMG is founded by four different founders. And those founders started with Kleinveld in 1917, which is in Amsterdam. The P stands for Pete, which came out of London in 1870. And when Marwick which was part of Pete Marwick and Mitchell. It was founded in 1897. Then the G stands for Gordeller, and Gordeller for many years was a Dutch businessman, and later he became the chairman of KPMG. Thank you.